everyone. Hello, everybody wave. Welcome to everybody. Happy New Year. Yay. Say goodbye to 2020. Hello, 2021. I'm Nick Verreos, fashion designer, as well as the FIDM Fashion Design co-chair and your MC for tonight's fashion sketching workshop. This is by far one of our most popular workshops. We're so excited. We heard there were over 2,000 RSVPs. OMG. Oh my God, I didn't know what to do. I was like, how's everybody gonna get in? We are so excited. We are so glad that you love this workshop. And today it's gonna be a special one. It's called Ideas Beyond Words. So it's all about how fashion sketching can go into branding, and a lot of fashion designers are using it in various different ways. And so let's get started soon. Again, welcome to everybody. I'm seeing everybody from all over. I've seen Michigan, Florida, hello Minnesota, Texas, hello California, Los Angeles, Bay Area, Portland, Colorado, Washington, New Jersey, Houston, Alabama. We also have Washington, D.C., Utah, Massachusetts, Louisiana, New York, the Bay Area, Buffalo, New York, Georgia. Did I say LA already? Chicago, Arizona, Ohio. Oh my God, every state in the country. And speaking of countries, a special welcome to those that are coming from India, as well as Canada and Brazil. So we've got some international attendees. So welcome everybody. We're so excited. Again, Nick Verreos right here to host it. And it's all about fashion sketching. I love fashion sketching. And in case you ever want to get some of my books, I have them right here. This is fashion sketching. This is a pageant coloring book with over 25 drawings of evening gowns. And you can color them, and it has croquis as well. And then men's flat sketching. Woohoo! Yay! This is right here. All right. Now, are you guys ready? This is going to be so amazing, so great. Once again, we have one of our fabulous FIDM fashion instructors. And let me introduce her. First of all, Marina, your fashion sketching instructor for today. She began making custom designs at 14 years old. Yes, 14. She attended FIDM and graduated from the Advanced Study in Fashion Design, the debut program in 2004. And then she went on to apprentice in Rome, Italy. She worked in Italy for several years. And then afterwards, she returned to the United States and worked for many different US labels. She opened her atelier in 2019. And last but not least, well, did I mention? She is one of our top fashion illustration instructors. Everybody from all over the country and international, please help me welcome Marina Leight. Marina, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Okay, let's get me switched over so I can see all this, see the full view. So the way that I work is that I've got two cameras going. You can see me, and then you can see over here, I also have a sketch cam. So as I'm explaining the work, I'll be doing it on the camera, the sketch camera at the same time, and you'll be able to follow along as we go. So let's see if, there we go. Okay, so starting off, let's go ahead and talk about materials. So we can work with an 8.5 piece of paper if you have that around, or at school we use the 14 by 17, the large scale pieces of paper to work from. And we're going to be doing a recap of the 9-head. So 9-head is considered as the classic fashion illustration format. We even have from our dear Nancy Riegelman wrote the book, The 9 Heads, which you can also, I think they'll be attaching a link so that you can purchase it. And then we also, for the more advanced study, we have The Colors of Fashion. And then I would also highly recommend the book that Nick was talking about, because it has croquis in it already, the one that he did, the pageant coloring book. And a lot of fashion designers actually work from croquis. So what we're gonna do, the 9-head is actually going to be a croquis illustration. You'll use it as a template and be able to illustrate on top of it. So starting out, piece of paper, pencil, a flat edge. So traditionally that would be a clear ruler, but you can use anything as a flat edge. You could use the edge of a book, you could use the edge of the paper, you can fold your paper. And then as you get more advanced, I like to use Prismacolor pencils and markers. They blend really well together. So starting out, we're going to be marking off our paper with a line down the center and making 9 lines, but the 9 head is somewhere between 9 and 10. So here you can see on the paper, I already have a couple illustrations lined out. Now, just so you know, I'm going to move pretty quickly. So if I'm going too fast for you, I will take breaks and talk in between, but to make sure that we stay on schedule, you can always go back and watch the video again. It will be posted. And once we've done the 9 head, you'll have a little bit of time to continue working on it as we discuss more in depth the detail of this lecture, and then we'll be using it as a template. So if you see here on my paper, I'm going to go ahead and get that as my main page. So this is a 14 by 17. But like I said before, you can use an 8.5 by 11, just a piece of printer paper. Now, if you're using an 8.5 by 11, it's going to be broken down into about 1-inch spaces. And if you're using a larger, the 14 by 17, I like to make my head size 1.5 inches. And the reason it's called 9 heads is that the body is going to be about 9 to 10 heads long. So this part of the lesson will go about, we'll be going about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll go into more of the discussion. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes. There's a couple people that are saying that they can't see both screens, but you have to edit the way that your screen is viewed. Please let us know if anyone is still having issues. Okay, so I go ahead and I drew the perfect right angle line down the center of I did it off to the side so that if I need to, I can do some notes on this side. But if you want, you can also take your piece of paper and you can fold paper in half like this, and then put a line down the middle. It's kind of like a quick, easy way to get a nice straight line. So I start about 1 inch down and mark it, and then I go to my 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, all the way down. And I'm going to actually write the number next to it so that I don't get confused as I am going, because sometimes that easily happens. Now your number 1 is going to actually be at the bottom of the head, because this is the full head. So this is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and like I said, 10, because the feet are going to end somewhere between the 9 and the 10. Our head, we're going to make it an egg shape. So it'll be a little bit more narrow on the bottom and rounded at the top. Another way that you could do it is think of it as a circle with a small triangle coming off of it. In between our 1 and our 2, draw a nice soft line. That's going to be the shoulder line. Let's see. And then going from the neck, I'm going to draw a line down to that shoulder line. And then I like to add in right here on the neck, there's like a little triangle where the neck goes into the shoulders. Just add a little teeny triangle there. Now, I like to, the way that I illustrate the 9 heads is I like to divide out the rib cage line from the arms, because this is a pivot point. So if you go across from the top of the rib cage, it's about 1 head across. So I'm going to say that it's probably going to be right about there. And then when I'm illustrating bodies, I'm really big on everybody figuring out what shape of a body works best for them aesthetically. So you can choose how slender or wide you would like to have your waistline, and how curvaceous you would like to have the legs and different parts of the body. My main concern is about the proportions going up and down, and that the figure is balanced. So your waist is going to be at 3. And if you want, you can write notes on the side so that you can remember what I'm calling out. So I'm going to do my little waistline here and go up to this point where I drew out the top of the rib cage. So this isn't the widest point of the shoulders, that's just the top of the rib cage. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick recap of what I just did. I've got the body 10 heads down. We've got our egg in between our 1 and our 2. We've got our shoulder line. We have the neck coming down into the shoulder. I make a little triangles on the corner. Top of the rib cage is about a head width, a head length there, and then go into the waistline at 3. Right below our 4 line, we're going to draw a little line that's going to end up being where the crotch line is. And in between 3 and 4, I'm sure that most of you, and perhaps all of you, are going to be fashion designers. That's a call out that you'll have to remember when you're making clothes. This is called your high hip. So we go from our waist to the high hip, and then that can kind of be like the line where the also the pivot point of the leg is. So if you go up from the crotch line up into there, it's almost kind of like a high brief. And then you'll know that if you're moving the body, if you're moving the legs, that would be the point where the leg would be able to move from. So go into the 6, just do a couple tennis balls right there. Those are going to be our knees. And then right around above our 9, we're going to do a couple more tennis balls. And okay, there we go. Sorry. Let's see. Let me move this camera again. Sorry about that, guys. I think that we got a call from the host there. Okay, good. So going from the high hip, we'll be going into the knee line. And this is a pretty smooth curve that goes into the knee. And then going from here, we got another smooth curve going into the knee. Now, I like to be able, the way that I illustrate bodies, so, and everyone's taste and aesthetics going to be different. I noticed when I was teaching the last lecture series that I actually illustrate very athletic, slender bodies, very similar to a ballerina's body. And I think that that's because my mother is a ballerina. So that's what I saw growing up. So I have a tendency to illustrate that figure. And you'll notice that the things that you tend to, or maybe things that are more familiar to you, seem more attractive to you. So I like to add in some thigh muscle, and then I also add in some muscle here as well. Now, if you were to block it in, it would look something like that. Now on the knees, we have the knees here, we do the little dimples under the knee. And then on the calf line is going to be at 7. You can either have it come straight out like this and then go into your ankle, or what you can also do, the actual muscle goes at an angle. So the outside's a little higher and the inside's a little lower if you want to get a little bit more technical into that ankle. How am I doing speed-wise? Do you guys want me to do a quick recap? Okay, looks like you guys are all answering each other's questions really well. Okay, a lot of yes pleases there. Okay, so let's go through this again. We have the 10 lines. On this page, it's 1.5 inches apart. On an 8.5 by 11, they're 1 inch apart. We've got our egg in between our 1 and our 2. We have a line, neck coming down into the shoulder line. Our waist is at 3. You can choose how slender you would like it to be. In between our 3 and our 4, we have our high hip. Our 4 is going to be our low hip. That's going to be the widest part of the hip line. And then right below the 4, we have our crotch line. Our 6 is going to be our knees. And we got our thighs coming down into the 6. 7 is where we're going to have our calves. Usually a little bit, if we're getting more anatomically correct in the muscle format and placement, the outer muscle is a bit higher, inside a bit lower, and then we're going into our ankles, which is going to come in right around above the 9. And then we'll go into the foot. Now, I like to break. You can decide, someone's asking about the width of the calf. That's kind of up to your personal taste. You can make it you can make your legs very slender. You can make them curvier. It's just more important about knowing where the muscles are going to curve out. And always remember, if you choose to make your figures more curvaceous, the parts of the body that don't really get bigger are ankles, knees, wrists. So those still need to stay a little bit more on the consistent side. Now on the feet, I like to break down feet and hands into shapes. So feet, I like to think of like a cowbell, kind of. So we've got this cowbell here, and then we've got the toe on the end. Now the toe is, since the foot is coming at you, and it's going to be foreshortened. So what you're going to see is kind of like a cowbell shape with the toe shortened coming at you. Now you can also come and bring it down into a little bit of a triangle like this, and then there'll be the crease of the toe at the top. So this is a stiletto foot. If you want to make a really pointy shoe, you can have it come down like this as well. Now on the, moving back up to the arms, number 2 line is going to be the apex line of the bust. So apex is the highest point. So this is going to be the center of the bust, but that's not where the bust ends. The bust actually goes, if this is the apex, it actually comes down underneath. So this would be, the bust line is going to come underneath, and this is another personal choice as to the size of the bust. We've got a pit of a neck, collarbone. The shoulders, I also do as a circle, but I like to do them kind of like more of an oval shape like this. And then your elbows, if you notice, this is also a pivot point where it attaches here. So this is going to be a pivot in a circle coming out. So if you want to move your arms up, you have to make sure that it stays on that axis point. So this is my elbow line, if that made sense. Okay, so this is my, I draw a tube coming down, got my elbows, my forearm is a little bit wider, skinnier into the wrist. It's going to be ending right around the crotch line where we have our wrists. Make sure you add wrists in there. If you have an arm that just goes straight into a hand, you won't be able to tell what's happening and why it doesn't look right. Hands similar to feet. I've got a cowbell and then a long skinny fingers coming off of it. And this is just a really quick, fast way of doing it. But then you can go in. I have a tendency to make really big hands and feet just because that's what I visually like. You may end up wanting to make them smaller than what I do. Things also to keep in mind. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and leave this just like this so you guys can look at it and continue drawing on it as I talk about something else. Faces. I want all of you to be aware the eye is actually the center of the face. Everyone wants to draw the eyes way up here, but this is actually where the center of the head is. So if you draw a line right in the middle of that head, that's going to be your eye line because you have to have space for your hairline. Then what I prefer to do is I like to draw a chin just so I make sure I don't run out of space for it. And then in between here and here, you've got your nose and then you've got your space for your mouth. So I blocked it in the area. This will be where the eyes go and the eyebrows. But we'll get into more of the chin is right at the bottom of the little oval. I'll get more into the details of this when we go over moods of illustrations. So at this point, we're going to go into looking at the business of fashion illustrations. Before I jump to that, how's everybody on this guy? Let me just go over it verbally really quickly. Got our 9 heads. This is our 1. In between our 1 and our 2 is our shoulder. The rib cage is a head length. We have our shoulders coming off of it. All of these you will blend together. The armpit line goes into the bust line. All lines of the body end up flowing into one another. So you want to make sure that everything on the figure flows into our elbow, into our wrist, into our hands, which I made really long because that's what I like to do. This is the center bust line. Your belly button's going to be coming in right below that waistline. And then you can go through and just kind of clean up all the lines and make sure that they have like a nice clean flow and start erasing some of these shapes. Also, if you want to get some shading, you can draw a line from the front there on the calf and be able to shade it in. All right, so then at this point, let's go ahead and look at the business of fashion illustration. So Nick, you'll be jumping in on this one as well as we discuss some of these images, because one of the things that I always talk to my students about is the fact that a lot of designers don't think that fashion illustration is that important, that they can get by without it. But it is one of the best ways to translate your vision as a designer. And one thing that I always like to tell them is anytime I've been up for a big job, whether it's a custom red carpet, stage wear for musicians, for an editorial, for a commercial, if I present an illustration, a beautiful detailed illustration with the entire mood that they're setting out to do, I end up booking the job. So it's really important to be able to translate what you are wanting to say through your illustrations. And it's about these slight variations in mood. So if we look at the beginning of the evolution of the fashion sketches, this here is kind of like a base as to where it started. And you can start seeing that the mood and the energy in the actual illustrations that are here, you know, it's not just a flat croquis. You can see that they've got expressions. There's flows to fabric. You can tell what the fabric feels like, how it's draping. So then this would be like a beginning example of fashion illustration for advertising. I also have one right here that I just ripped out of a magazine right before this, just flipping through it. And it's a really easy way to be able to clearly show what the mood and the aesthetic of the brand is.
Just think of, you know, back in this, if you look at this sketch, guys, these sketches, one of the big trade publications, it's called Women's Wear Daily, WWD. And back in the 70s, these were the photographs, really. And so the fashion illustrators were a huge part of the people working in that publication because they used fashion illustrations the way that we use photos now. And so like Marina was saying, this sort of evokes the mood of casual elegance, you know, that sort of Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress, you know, casual, elegant kind of 70s aspect to it. And so it was very important for the fashion illustrators and to also, like Marina says, to have their own unique view. You don't have to draw perfectly. You can, you know, as you begin drawing and draw more, you begin to create your own style. But just know that in the beginning, really, fashion sketches were used almost like the photographs to show people what the fashions were going to be like. You know, they even had at fashion shows, you know, now they have influencers in the front row. Well, back in the day, they would actually send fashion sketchers, illustrators to sit in the front row and quickly sketch the designs that then would go to WWD to send out, like, what is Dior doing? What is Balenciaga doing? And it would be, that would be the way to show what the new line would look like.
Okay, so next slide. Okay, so then this is here looking at sketches for marketing. And this is similar to what Nick was just saying about the front row fashion illustrators, that these are the illustrations that the major fashion labels are using for showing their latest designs. It's a really great way. And if you look at the Instagram of any couture line, they have fashion illustrations on there because it's the best way to be able to transcend a mood as clearly as possible. You know, they don't have to try to explain it to anybody. They can illustrate it out and capture everything. The flow, the color, the lights, all of it.
Totally. These sketches that you guys see right here are from Ralph and Russo Couture. So when you go to Vogue.com and you look at, oh, I want to see the Ralph and Russo Fall 2020 collection. Well, guess what? They didn't do photos. They did fashion illustrations. And so to this day, that's how important fashion sketching is done. And like Marina says, when you look at these sketches, it evokes glamour. It evokes elegance, luxe. I mean, the sequins and the fringe, and you can almost feel the silk satin. And so that's how they wanted to portray. These are gowns that retail at like $100,000 each. And they felt the best way to showcase their collection is through the illustrations. And so that's how, even to this day, still a lot of companies, especially the high-end companies, use fashion illustrations as a way to show what their new line is like for marketing.
All right.
And
so
this, yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
Nick. No, it's okay.
This you guys see here, this is from when a lot of the publications like Vogue, WWD, Elle Magazine, they ask designers, what are you doing next week? What are you going to show next week? And because a lot of times the clothes aren't even done. And so guess what they show? Sketches. And so the designers, sometimes the assistant designers or the assistant designers, they do those quick sketches, or they do some fashion illustrations to evoke, like Marina says, a mood, to show kind of a hint, an amuse-bouche, an appetizer of what the designer's collections will look like. So the ones that you see right here, these are from different designers that are going to show at New York Fashion Week. And once again, instead of actual photos, they did sketches. And I have to say, everyone still to this day, when for example, if I'm going to show a collection, and I'm sure same goes with Marina, a lot of people, they ask, do you have sketches? Like, can I see some sketches of your collection? And they publish those sketches. So especially for non-fashion people, like editors or publications, or people that aren't fashion designers, really the way that, because it's so traditional, the way that they see and know and almost touch and feel fashion is through fashion illustration. So like Marina said, a lot of people say, oh, fashion sketching is dead. No, honey, it is still alive and well.
And I feel like it's even just picking up even more traction with social media. And that will be going into the next slide, because I feel like this is a good lead into. So all of these are fashion sketches on social media, and you can, I'm sure all of you in your feeds see fashion sketches all the time, because it's a great way to be able to translate a vision. And like Nick was saying, that's, as you're designing and getting out there in the industry, that's the first thing everyone asks for is, can I see your sketches? And you want to be able to present them in a way that people can read them, even if it's, like you could say you were a messy sketcher, and that's fine, because it's, as long as it's transcending a mood and a vision and a vibe, then that's all that really matters. And that's what's going to attract people to you. People are so attracted to illustrations.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And notice these 4 right here. They're all 4 different types of fashion sketches, guys. So don't feel, I know I saw some of the comments like, oh my God, mine looks horrible. Oh my God, mine doesn't even look like a girl. Like, don't worry. That is, you have to create your own type of fashion sketching. And you notice here, these are 4 different types. You see this basic croquis at the top in the orange. There's not even any hair or any eyes. So this is how this designer decided to do a face. And then you see the one next to it, it's a little more like, almost like a painting. And then the Lady Gaga one, that was done by an alumni of FIDM, this wonderful, amazing designer who actually went on to work for Guess. And he put that out there in his Instagram and got like thousands of likes. And I have to tell you that I talked to FIDM social media, and they said, it's so funny, Nick, we'll put like a pretty girl or a model with a dress, a photo on our fidm Instagram, and we'll get, 100 likes, 500 likes. But every single time that fidm does a fashion sketch, puts a fashion sketch on their social media, it's through the roof. The likes are like boom, 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 like thousands of likes. So for some reason, it's catching on and people like it. The last one at the bottom, that is from our finalists for the Supima design competition, our fidm finalist, and she was from Indonesia. And you see the actual designs on top and then her sketches at the bottom. And she did those actually by computer. So once again, you could do them by hand, the traditional way, using pencil, ink, crayons, colored markers, etc. Or nowadays, a lot of people use the iPad Pro to do fashion sketching. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can even use, you can even do collaging. There's so many different ways of being able to get your vision out there. So this right here is another great example of illustration that has a market on social media. So Christian Soriano has been selling his illustrations through his Instagram platform, and is just like instantaneously selling them. They're really quick sketches, but everybody, you know, very quick paintings. They're beautiful, and it's just hinted at the mood of what the gown is. I mean, if you look at it, it's very simple, very few brush strokes on there, very few accent lines, but it has a mood and it has a flow, and people want to have a piece of it. So it's become a really great avenue of self-promotion and sales for him as someone that's selling gowns and home goods, and now also illustrations.
It's amazing that he turned into that. I think it's so funny. I think this horrible pandemic and what's happened to the world, because we can't really take photos and we barely can have or attend fashion shows. I think that that's why this art, the fashion sketching, has taken. I think that's why it's all of a sudden got a rebirth. And I know that for sure for Christian Siriano, you know, he is the mentor for Project Runway, and I'm a producer for Project Runway, so I know him. And he's told me that, you know, Nick, I just started doing a lot more sketching because of the pandemic, and we're at home, we're stuck at home. And I said, you know, I'm gonna, you know, start drawing again. And then all of a sudden, you know, somebody suggested, hey, you should sell those. And then he started selling them, and they sell a lot. And these guys are, I just wanted to show you some of our sketches that, you know, my partner, David Paul, and I, that we do, and how we do this also for social media, for marketing, and to promote our line, to promote our collection. The pink one that you see up top, that was actually a client, a special client. And here's the thing, the client wanted a custom gown. How are we gonna show it to them if we haven't even made it? So I had to sketch it. And so that was the sketch that we did for her. The one on the right, the black one, well, we did a gown that was worn by Miss Universe. And she was judging Miss Universe. And she was a former Miss Universe from Hawaii, Brooke Lee, and she wore one of our Nicolaichi gowns. And so in order to tell people that we did that, we did the drawing, the fashion sketch, and we put it on Instagram. And then the bottom ones are from our latest collection. So once again, it's like we can't put them on the models, we can't show a photo. And so we just decided to do the actual fashion sketches of the collection. And once again, put it on Facebook, Instagram, social media, and everybody loves that. It's almost better than actual photos.
So these last ones, these were ones that I did with watercolor to present to get, I did the costumes for the Jane's Addiction tour a few years ago. And so I presented my vision through watercolors. The top right was the dancers, and they were being hung about 40 feet above the stage, and their skirts were about 25, 30 feet long, and they were made out of World War II parachutes.
Wow.
And I did these massive tails that were coming off of all the other dancers with feathers and strips of fabric. And I was able to show them with the materials, and also just with the illustrations, the mood of what I wanted to be able to put together for them. And that's all it took. It took 4 fashion illustrations to get to do that job. And this is one of many examples of this, that it's really just getting somebody to believe in your vision, and the best way to do that is to show them something that makes them feel. And that's why I love fashion illustrations so much. So on that note, let's talk about creating a mood with illustration. So we have our 9-head croquis here. So this is a croquis. It is our template, our hanger, it's our backdrop, it's our canvas. So you can take this illustration and put it underneath a blank piece of paper, and then you can create over the top of it again and again and again. So like for one of my illustration classes, I did a color illustration of skin tones by laying paper on top of the 9-head and then filling it in. So today what we're going to look at is moods. So there's very small ways that we can adjust our illustrations to create different moods. One of the very a basic one to think about is what the pose is. Now in this one, we're doing a really flat, straight pose. So we're going to do our slight variations of mood by changing some of the features on the body. Now I've pulled some things out of magazines because I want you to think about something. Like think about a Target ad and what those models look like and how they're moving around, their expressions, the way their hair flows. And then think of like a Rick Owens or an Alexander McQueen. Very different energy, very different mood, and probably not the same model. Some models can transcend and do several different types of campaigns, but most of them, they don't. They have a very particular look that is really good at being able to project a very particular feel. So this is an Alberta Ferretti, and this one is, I liked this because it's kind of in the middle, where her expression and her face is very soft, but it has kind of like a whimsical look to it, but there's also a little bit of a dark edge. So it's a combining of two different feels together to create something that's kind of in the middle and open to your own personal translation of it. Then I have here, these ones are more on the like soft, playful, whimsical, and things that you'll notice in this one is the expressions, the way that the bodies are held, the way that the shape of the face, the shape of the lips, where the eyebrows are. Now, if you look at ones that are a little bit more moody and edgy, so even though she's wearing something right here that's a bit lighter and cute, her expression is a little bit tough. Her stance is a little bit tough. She's got a nice strong stance. This one is a little bit like on the nose, where it's very dark, it's very moody. Even this one right here, where we've got David Beckham, and he's got, you know, like the furrowed brow and like harsh lighting. So you can see here how it's like even these ones that are a bit more light and playful in the outfit, the way that they are standing and the expression on their face gives an entirely different emotion. So let's look at, we're going to do two kind of like very polar opposites. We're going to look at more of like the light and like a little bit more of the edgy. So let's go ahead and start off with edgy. Now we've got our croquis here. I'm going to go ahead and move this camera down a little bit, and hopefully that makes it so you guys can see a bit better. There we go. And I am checking on the chat. So if you guys, if there's anything that, if I'm like moving a little too quick, if you're missing some things, just let me know. Okay, so your paper is not going to be super easy to see through, but if you press down, you'll be able to get enough. Oh, that also brings me to a point that you're going to want to figure out what your favorite pencil is. So I have a medium hand, which means that I have a medium weight of pressure on my paper. So this to me is the same pencil I've been using since I was a little kid. It's my absolute favorite. But you may end up finding that you're very heavy-handed. So you'll need to have a harder lead on your pencil. And if you have a very, very soft hand, you want a very soft lead so that it reads dark enough that you can be able to see through. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just trace around. I said I was starting with edgy, right? I think so. So I'm gonna go ahead and give her more angles. And I'll get into a little bit of the fashion as well. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do, I'm gonna do, what do you say? Lace up corset and lace up pants and slicked back hair. Cool, let's do it. All right, so we've got corset here. And what I like to do is I like to map out my designs very lightly and then fill in the information. Now on her pant, I'm giving it a little bit of a wrinkle around here, making it longer, and then we'll give it that long pointy toe. I'm just tracing around the body, some wrinkles on the ankle, long pointy toe, and I'm gonna give her some like big poofy thing. Now, don't forget, this recording will be posted for everyone that is attending. So if you need to go back and check in anything, you will be able to. Also, we are going to be doing Q&A at the end. If you don't have a chance to ask us questions, you can always reach out to us on social media. I am available and happy to answer questions. Okay, so I was talking about faces. I'm gonna go ahead and do one that's a little bit bigger here. So we've got posted where? It should be posted on here. I think that they'll end up tagging it. And we've got information for you on buying the books and asking questions and being linked to the video. Or I think maybe they send you an email when it's done. Sorry. Okay, so this is our face. I've got angles on the jawline. I'm going to give our model nice high cheekbones. If this is the halfway point, boom, boom, that's where our eyes are going to be, right here. Now, notice what we have here on all of these eyes. We've got these very straight, angular brows. It's not those high arching, surprised eyes. They are focused, they're concentrated, they are angled down across. And then I'm putting the eyes underneath. So your eyes, you can do any shape that you like, but I'm gonna go ahead and do them similar to the eyebrows. So I do kind of like a sweep like this and then going across and going straight and coming up. Now on eyes, you've got you have your iris in the middle. Make sure that it goes up into the lid and down into the lower lid. If you have a perfect circle inside of the opening, it's going to make the eyes look really surprised. And for this look, this is a very focused expression. It's not going to be a surprised eye. This is somebody that doesn't get surprised. They're ready for anything. I'm adding a little bit of a light reflection in there. And then I'm shading it across the top. Hopefully this is big enough for everyone to see. So at this point, I've got the pupil here and I'm going to bring my light coming around. So this is the larger version. This is what it would look like if it's small. You're only going to be able to get a little bit of information in there. So I'm just drawing the top of the lid like this, the eye coming around, and some reflection. Once it gets smaller, you're able to put in a lot less information. So this is the eye up close. And then when we're doing the smaller eye, I've got the top of the lid and the iris coming into it. Now, so that's my angular eye. How's everybody doing? How do you draw the shape of the eye? So once again, what I did on the top of the lid is I arched it and then went straight across. You can add a little triangle in the corner to get the little dip in the corner of the eye. And then we've got the iris of the eye. Make sure that you get a little bit of a light reflection and some shading on the top. Okay. Now, when you're doing lashes are going to come around and out. Since this is a more squinty eye, you're not going to see, it's not going to be like super long, fluffy, flowy lashes. Just coming straight out and just getting kind of a little hint to it. Now nose, same thing. Let's go ahead and make it kind of angular. And our nose is going to be in that midpoint right here, like I'd mapped out before. We've got the eyes as the halfway. Mark in the chin. We've got the nose at 1/4. And then the mouth will be coming in right below it. Now our mouth, we also are going to want to give it, you can do a more curvy mouth, but you're going to want to give it kind of like a solemn pout to it. Okay, so let me go ahead and talk about the eyes really quick again, because that's going to be the big thing. Eyebrows are curved slightly like this, and then they go across. And you can make them a little bit wider by just adding in some lines. The eyebrow hair is going to go in this direction. Same thing with the eyelashes coming around. The eye curves slightly and then come up. This is, if you were drawing it all the way around, this would be kind of what the shape would be. So it's like if you took a diamond and pulled it a little bit on the corners. The mouth, also, we can give it a little bit of a pout, but let's go ahead and give it a little bit of shaping. So a good way to start, you can start with an oval, draw a line through it. And then in that center point, it's going to come up and go down and curve around. All right, so we're going to do less edgy and serious on the next one. This one is, we're doing 2 different moods. And what I did to make that one really quickly is I made a top lip, and then I did a line underneath it for the bottom lip. This is a blowing up what a little teeny one would look like. Now let's go ahead and get some shading in there. I'm going to go ahead and have her hair going straight back. This is her hairline. I'm going to make it more angular and draw where that center part would be. Ears are going to be coming between the eye and the nose and the mouth. You can decide how large you want it to be. It's kind of like a little bean on the side, like this. And when drawing hair, start at the part. And if this is my part line, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to do a little bit of shading away from the part. So make sure you leave a negative space in the center. See how you already kind of have like a reflection there? And then the lines of the hair will come down. Adding a little bit of shading underneath her neck. Now, when you're doing hair, you can see it on my hair. You're gonna have light hitting on the sides, and it will always be dark around the face. So a really quick way of being able to draw in hair is always to add in the depth right around the face, like this, and make it nice and dark, because this is where the shadows will be the deepest. And then you can go in and fill it in lightly with lines coming through. Okay, so what I did here is angled hairline, center part. Let's see if I've got, there we go. There's a center part example for you. So you have negative space in the center here. And then there'll always be kind of a reflection line. This has been, the light's been diffused on this, but even so, you can still see that there's a bit of a reflection there. Coming down, around, and down. Okay, so I've got her in a lace-up corset. So this is going to go right to the shape of her body. And that's where the opening's going to be. We got some bust coming in here, and this is going to be the lace up points. And we'll go ahead and lace her up. And just do back and forth. And then let's go ahead and make it lace up the sides. She seems like a really sweet, warm person. What do you guys think? So any call outs on her? Let's see. I know I'm going really quickly. Is there any part that you guys would like for me to go over really quick? Again. So lacing up. And you can play around with different colors at this point too. So when I recommend face first or garment, you know, honestly, that one's kind of up to you. I like to outline everything out and block in what I'm going to end up creating. And then I start at the top and work down because we have a tendency to get pencil on our hands. So you kind of have to figure out what is your method of operation. And if you're illustrating, always remember, if something doesn't look, if something looks off, flip your page upside down. It's a really good way to tell if something's off in your illustration. And now what we're also going to do is we can quick breakdown of head shape and lines in each feature's positioned. Yeah, so we've got here's our head. Halfway in between is our eyes. I'm giving her an angular shape, so I'm giving it a line of the jaw like this, pointy little chin. And then I'm kind of coming up at an angle because she's got these cheekbones. I mean, if you think of the movie, is it Maleficent? I don't remember. But the Disney villain movie where the cheekbones are like super exaggerated because I want to make her seem like more dark and more edgy. So that's definitely a feature that tends to lend to that mood. Rounded at the top because that's where we got our skull. We got the skull's nice and rounded there. And then the hairline is one of the things that will also kind of help create a mood. Maleficent, thank you. I have it very angular here across. And then this is my eye line. So if this is my center here, I'm going to block in where I've got my chin. And the eyes are going to be, you can kind of figure out your spacing. I have a tendency to make wide spaced eyes, but generally it's about an eye is the spacing. And you can kind of decide also how large you want your eyes to be, because that's also an artistic styling choice. Then right above our eyes, we have our eyebrow lines, very angular. Halfway in between here and here, we've got our nose, and then we can block in for the mouth. Okay, so at this point, take the side of your pencil. We're going to create a little bit of mood, and then we're going to go ahead and go into softer looks. So from this point, I'm going to be shading in on the face. Let's see if I've got anything that's got some good face shading. If you use the side of your pencil, you can get some really good soft lines. You can do shading underneath the eyes here and go very gentle on the cheekbones. Got our corset. So this is a fun way of creating a look on the corset. You can go in and darken it in. And then you can go and pull out your color with an eraser. So you can always kind of come in and add in some reflection like that. So if you're having it be kind of like a leathery look all the way down. Okay, now I'm going to give her some like fur jacket thing. Same thing like what I was talking about with hair. Create the outer shape. And then you can go in with details. It's always going to be darker around the body. Anywhere where you have layers that are overlapping, you always have to have a drop of shadow. Okay, so we definitely have created a mood here. Now I'm going to go ahead just so that I make sure that I have enough time to get into the other one. If we have time, I can always come back and add more detailing in, but she has a very specific look. You're probably not going to go see her dressed like that out at the farmer's market. Never know, maybe in LA. Okay, so now we're going to do something that's like a little bit more light and whimsical. What I'm going to do is same thing, block it out, draw in. Sorry, if I laugh, it's just because I'm reading your guys' comments. I'm going to go ahead and mark on her look. So this one, for those of you that were saying your face is too rounded, it is, here, this one that's still attached, so it's not moving around while I'm working with you guys. This is probably going to lend more to your styling. Maybe you like softer lines. So I'm going to do more of a sweetheart type face. It's going to be more rounded. And I personally, it's good to know how to pull out these different moods, but then once you know how to do all these different looks, what I really like doing is combining them. So maybe doing more of like the determined edgy eyes, but then really big soft pouty lips, or a big smile, like combining different looks, even like a strong jawline with softer expressions. Okay, so here's our lady, and same body shape, but I think I'm going to put her in a gown, so I'm not going to get too detailed on the legs. Let's go ahead and, oh yeah, the round face is definitely very Selena Gomez. Okay, so let's go ahead and do like a one off the shoulder thing that wraps around, and then it's going to go into something that flows. There we go. She's got her in a nice flowy gown, and maybe we'll put in some like big beautiful jewelry here, and we block in the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the chin. We give her a nice rounded hairline. And so let's go ahead and do a big face so that you guys can see what I'm doing on this face. So on this guy, I'm giving her a more rounded face. I'm exaggerating all of this. So like I was saying, I want you to be able to combine these and figure out what your personal taste is. Halfway in between, we've got our eyes. I want to make sure that I am staying on time. Yeah, we're doing good. Okay, so got our eyes, nose, chin, mouth. And on this one, we're going to have brighter open eyes and softer expression, higher eyebrows, arched soft eyebrows. Like that's a key, like very like soft feminine look. So we'll go ahead, and eyebrows are going to be one of the best ways to be able to define an expression. You could draw a face and the only thing you have on it is eyebrows furrowing or surprise, and you can immediately get a mood from it. So if we've got our eyebrows coming in here, let's go ahead and mark in, this is our halfway line. I'm going to do little ovals for the eyes, and then mark in that this is where the eyebrows are over the top of it. Okay. So I did a straight down center front line. I've got my halfway mark for the center of for the center of the face. And then I've got the eyes about spaced 1 eye space apart, maybe a little bit wider, and mark in where those eyes are going to be. So here's our center front, ovals for the eyes, and nice arching eyebrows. Eyebrows are like check marks, okay? So you're gonna draw the outside line, and then we'll go ahead and draw the hair on top. And the hair that I'm drawing, it's a squiggle line. It's just like a scribble. So I make sure that the shape is really good, and then I draw my lines on top. Veer off into nothing. Eyebrow lines, for those of you that are big into makeup, you know that the eyebrow is supposed to end in an angle to the side of the eye, which matches up with the side of the nose. So if you guys are looking at my face, you can see what's happening there. So this is where the I have a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and hit you guys with a nose really quick. You ready? All right. Noses are actually really easy. All noses have this little ball on the tip. And you're going to draw the little tip to the nose. And then what happens underneath is you have just like this shape, you've got your, the nostrils. They kind of come up into, they're like little raindrops to the side. And they're going to go along the edge of the sides of this, this oval right here. So you draw in where they're going to be and draw your little raindrops. And then you can decide how far down you want this dip to be on the bottom. Mine is, I'm probably getting like graphite all over my face. Mine's a bit longer. When I was a kid, I used to walk around like this because I was trying to get it to go away. But you can have it come down like that. And then on the sides, you can decide how wide you want your nostrils to come out as well. Nostril shape is going to follow along the bottom edge of your raindrops and then come up. You have a nose. All the rest of it is just shading. So as long as this shape right here, you can make it a circle. You could make it a long oval. You could make it a little bit more round. That's just all different slight variations to various faces, but essentially that is how all noses are formed. So we've got our circle, got our raindrops on the side. The sides of the nose come up, and you can decide if you want them to come in like this, or if they just kind of go straight up. This one's I'm making just coming straight up. And then underneath, we've got the little dip underneath the nose. Now let's go ahead and give her some like big old pouty lips. So just like I talked about before, we've got an oval. Do an oval with a line. Starting out, that's fine. If we want to start getting into more detail, it's going to end up following the same sort of lines as the eyebrows do and the eyelashes. It all goes in this shape on the face. So the lines of it will kind of like go in that direction. So if this is the mouth, you can have it come down a little bit and a little bit of a point in the center. Some mountaintops, and then half oval on the bottom. Now what's going to end up making them look more realistic is we're going to end up going in this pattern coming around, and the lip lines are going to curve like this, just like you would, like I was saying, the eyelashes, and you can bring it in with your side of your pencil. This is another great place to use your eraser to pull out some reflection, because if you've got like wet, dewy lips and you want to add a little bit of moisture on them, if you go in with your eraser, you can add in that reflection. And then here I go lighter on the lower lip, because light is generally coming from above and it's going to be reflecting onto that lower lip. Okay, So the top lip will always be darker. So when you're illustrating it on a small piece of, on a small face, you get that center line. If you want to give it a little bit of a smile, you can have the lip come up at the corners and do a teeny little raindrop like that. If you notice on mouths, you get those little like dips in the corner. So we've got the mouth coming. If you want to add in your reflection, add a little bit of light right there. And what I'm doing is going and just scribbling with my eraser on the edge. And you can do that a little bit along the top edge of the lip. Make sure that it's more on the top and more in the center on the bottom. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and shade in the face a little bit, and then we can give the garment some mood. Now on the eyes, same. Okay, how are we doing? Okay. Same concept on the eyes. We're just going to make the eyes a little bit more open. If you look here, the iris of the eye goes up into the lid. You don't want to have it where your eyes are completely centered in your lid, or they're going to look super surprised and maybe even a little freaked out. So you're going to start with, if it helps you, you can actually build around the eyeball. So let's go ahead and do that on here. I'm going to show you. So if you have an eyeball like this, you can go over with the lid, get the corners, and come around it. And then add your iris on the inside. Okay, let's see. And draw everything around it. Yeah, eyes is one of those things that you can kind of decide what is your personal style. There's a lot of illustrators that do. So if this was this is gonna look a little freaky, but like let's say those are the eyeballs, and then I am drawing the lid around it. And you got to make sure that you give a corner. Get the corner in there. Okay, now you have the direction that the lid's going to go around it. Okay, and I can erase that away. I always add my reflection in and shading on the top. Now let's go ahead and add in the eyelashes. So eyelashes, like I said before, are going to go in these directions. And this one, you can make them a little bit bigger. If you're doing lashes on the bottom don't go all the way to the whites of the eye. It goes along the edge of the lid like this. So you would make it and probably just hint to it a little bit. Don't make them go all the way around. You can if that's kind of like you're doing a more dramatic makeup look. Okay, so then at this point, I'll go ahead and add them onto her on here. Sorry, I'm catching on some string on my plug here. And okay, we're still doing okay on time. So in 5 minutes, we're gonna start doing Q&A and sharing. All right, so we've got the face, we've got the eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and put some hair in there. What do you guys want hair-wise? Curly hair, no problem. Okay, So let's make it really big because curly hair is really fun when it's really big. Yes, let's do it. Okay, so curly hair, just like the other one, you're going to be drawing the outside shape of it, and you have to figure out where it's coming from. I did a center part last time, so let's go ahead and do a side part. So I'm actually going to draw in where that line is. It has to go off at an angle. It can't be straight because it's going around the scalp. And from this point, I'm going to make it, I draw my curls. Curls aren't like this. Curls are like this. They're like all uneven and squiggly. Sorry, I have to reset my camera. There we go. So we've got the shape of it. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and erase a little bit of the shape in here on the head. And just like I did with the straight hair, I'm going to start from the part. And I'm going to go on the side of my pencil and go and get my shape in here. And what I want to do is I'll go in and add in a few of the shape and flow of the hair. But you can see my hair is a good example because it's really curly, and you don't see all the curls. You just see a few ones here and there. So I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so got a story on the hair. I want to make sure that I don't end up going over the top of her earrings. So I'm just outlining it a bit more. And then I'll go in and make it really dark around the face. And this is where your hair will start to look a little bit weird because you're just darkening it in around the face. But it'll make sense once you fill in the rest. Everything will kind of come together. And you guys don't be worried about getting it messy, you know, like this is all part of the process. It's not supposed to look perfect. And the best designs come from having from something that you may end up thinking is a mistake, but really it's just a new direction that the illustration wants to go. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in some dimension. I want to keep a little bit of light in there. It's going to always be darker along the bottom because that's where the shadows are. And it's always fun also just to add in a couple like little like flyaway hairs, because that is the reality of big flowy hair. Okay, let's go ahead and add in some shading on our gorgeous ensemble. Pit of the neck, collarbone, some shading around the face, some shading up here around the eyes, going in very gently with the side of my pencil around the bust into the armpit. And now we've got this dress that's got these nice sweeping folds on it. So I'm starting from where all of it's overlapping and then moving from the edges towards the center and leaving some negative space so that where you know that the light's hitting it more dramatic. So there's not a lot of lines on there, but it has a good feel as to what the texture of the material is. From the angle of this, sorry, it's not straight on. It's giving it a weird angle. Let me bump it up a little bit for you guys. Okay. So at this point, let's go ahead and give her some beautiful shoes. I'm gonna go ahead and add some straps on there, and then we are done with the demo portion. Strapping is always great when you're illustrating because it shows the shape of the foot and you can have it come up and around. I'm very excited to see what you guys all created. And then I'm going to add in some little toggles. Let's add in some beads on her necklace. And her super long hands. Sorry, I love big hands. Okay. All right, so let's do a little side by side here, and then hopefully you guys have got your work ready to show. Same croquis, two very different styles. You know, they could definitely both be at the same cocktail party together, but definitely both trying to create a different mood. At this point, we will start with some Q&A and sharing. Nick, are you ready to start calling on some of these fantastic students?
Yes, yes. First of all, can we all give a big shout out to Marina? Marina, that was amazing. I mean, no wonder we're like the most popular fidm lecture series workshop ever. You make it so easy, and I have to say, I absolutely love how you like relate it to something so easy. Like I wrote down the cowbell. Like I never would have thought of like saying that about drawing feet. The eyebrows. I love the check mark. Like those little things. It's like you really need to. You should trademark that stuff. But guys, just so
Making
you
me
know,
blush.
just so you know, guys,
Thank
just
you.
close your ears, Marina. Just so you know, you guys. I mean, she is exceptional, and you guys are so lucky to have this sketching class workshop with Marina, because all those little nuggets. I mean, she gives you so many teaching nuggets. It's beyond, you know, because you could have a fashion illustration teacher that'd be like, okay, just draw the eyeless like this, just draw the eyebrow like that. But the fact that she goes above and beyond and be like, you know, think of a check mark or think of a, you know, it just makes it more relatable, I guess I would say. Okay, that's enough. Good.